In Europe, you've got single regulation, but multiple regulators applying it. In the UAE, you actually, in a very small area, have 3 regulators and 3 separate sets of regulation being applied. So we've been there for a while helping firms just actually build and be set up to be regulated in the area, mainly in what they call these free zones. So we identified actually, as the Gulf Cooperation Council itself is repositioning, they're looking to drive growth, that while firms typically will build in a free zone because it's easier, they're more familiar, you've got UK law, it's based on European law, actually where the investors live and where the regulator is pitching towards is this what we would call onshore. So 70%, 80% of your buy side is onshore, but it was an unfamiliar region. It's based on Arabic law, not necessarily easy to navigate. So we said, okay, well, actually, we're looking ahead. Our clients will need help onshore. So we launched that this year, and it covers both funds themselves under a management company type and a distribution element. Middle East has been a market really of interest. We've seen a lot of hedge funds move in there, the private markets are going in there, and now really I think managers are realizing, and particularly with various geopolitical elements coming around, it's a relatively safe haven in terms of that growth. We're also benefiting from the fact that they are beginning to become more regulated, and it's easier to navigate where you know where the rules are. It's a single regulatory regime, but it's applied by multiple regulators. So the complexity is in the nuance of those regulators. If you're in France, it's sustainable. You want to look at, your marketing materials need to be looked at by the regulator. If you're in Germany, they have this great concept called a semi-professional investor, which allows you access to more investors for your fund strike potentially than elsewhere. So it's understanding those little pieces, but it's also a relatively open market and it's quite mature. So how do I access my investors? Yes, you need licensing, but we can go and talk to them. How do those investors then access the fund? Well, there's open channels when it comes to things like distribution platforms. There's a lot of providers when it comes to things like tax reporting that your investors need, or being flexible around how you send them reports. So that's very open. The same questions in the UAE, a bit different. You've got 3 regimes. If you're only going into one of them, that's okay, but you still need to understand the other 2. In terms of, if we're looking at this infrastructure side, there aren't so many open channels. It's probably, it looks at the private banks, so they're captive distribution. So how do I, if my investor uses one of those, how do I actually access the distributors that require these, and how do I do it without actually finding myself tied to one distributor when I want to access many? So it's just looking at that. And then on the regulatory lens, yes, it may be 1 to 3 regulators, but actually they're all operating under different regimes. So you can see then how all of a sudden complex in one is easy in the other, and vice versa, because European investors prefer European product. UAE investors so far are very open to foreign product. So it's all the small pieces come into play.